I kicked out my dad and his pregnant wife out of the home I legally own after they sent my depressed sister to live with our aunt. So my mom died 3 years ago from cancer, and it was honestly the worst thing that ever happened to our family. But before she passed, she made sure to leave me the main house where we grew up since it was from her side of the family. My little sister Emma got the vacation house up north. My dad got nothing because he was already acting shady toward the end of Mom's illness. 6 months after the funeral, Dad shows up with this woman named Bridget who's like 10 years younger than him. She immediately moves into my house and starts acting like she owns the place. First thing she does is take down every single family photo we had in the living room and dining room. All the pictures of Mom, our family vacations, even Emma's graduation photos, gone. Now Emma's room looks like a shrine because that's where all our memories ended up. Emma was only 13 when Mom died, and she never really got over it. She's been seeing a therapist and everything, but some days are just harder than others. Dad doesn't really get it because he's too busy playing house with his new wife. Last month, they announced they're having twins. Emma completely lost it. She locked herself in her room for 2 days straight and wouldn't eat anything. I had to drive over and basically force her to come out. The whole thing was a mess. For Emma's 16th birthday last week, she wanted to have a sleepover with like 8 of her friends. Dad said yes before he and Bridget left for some romantic weekend getaway. The party was supposed to end at midnight, but you know how teenage girls are. They stayed up until like 4 in the morning doing face masks and watching movies. Dad and Bridget came home the next morning around 10 and found all the girls passed out in the living room. There were blankets everywhere, some leftover pizza boxes, and a few makeup containers on the coffee table. Nothing crazy, just normal sleepover stuff, but Bridget absolutely freaked out. She started screaming at Emma in front of all her friends about how disrespectful she was and how she was just like our mom. Then she said the worst thing possible. She told Emma that she was a burden on Dad and that she needed to learn some respect. She literally packed Emma's bags right there and called our aunt to pick her up. Emma was crying and her friends were just standing there not knowing what to do. Dad didn't say a single word to defend her. He just stood there like a coward while his wife kicked his own daughter out of the house. I found out that evening when Emma called me sobbing. I drove straight over to Aunt Lisa's house and Emma was just broken. She kept saying she didn't understand what she did wrong and that she missed Mom. It was heartbreaking. The next morning I showed up at the house with Emma's spare key. Bridget was eating breakfast in the kitchen when I walked in. She had the nerve to ask what I was doing there. I told her and Dad they had exactly 1 week to pack their stuff and get out. Bridget started laughing and said I couldn't kick them out of their own home. That's when I pulled out the deed with my name on it. Her face went completely white. She had no idea the house belonged to me and not Dad. Dad tried to argue that I was being cruel to a pregnant woman, but I shut that down real quick. I told him if he cared so much about protecting pregnant women, maybe he should have protected his grieving daughter instead of letting his wife call her a burden. Bridget started crying about how she was 7 months pregnant and had nowhere to go. I told her she should have thought about that before she decided to kick out a 16-year-old girl who just lost her mom. Dad called me a cruel brat and said he was going to fight Mom's will in court. I laughed and told him good luck because Mom's family already has their lawyer ready to go. Mom specifically wanted me to have this house and she made sure it was ironclad.